Hello, welcome to the Death by Disney podcast. I'm your host, Adam, and today we're going to be talking about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It's the 25th movie released by the Walt Disney Studios, and it is a 1954 American science fiction adventure film directed by Richard Fleischer from a screenplay by Earl Felton and of course adapted from Jules Verne's 1870 novel of the same name. The film was personally produced by Walt Disney through Walt Disney Productions. It stars Kirk Douglas, James Mason, Paul Lucas, and the great Peter Lorre. So, some trivia to start us off in this episode. James Douglas's salary was $175,000, the most that Walt Disney had paid to any actor at that stage, which makes sense because he was a huge star. And this is also trivia from the Internet Movie Database, and it's kind of long, but basically Douglas was afraid that he didn't have any fights with other people in the film, and he didn't have any kind of like love interest in the film. So in the beginning, when he's introduced, he's walking with like two beautiful women and he gets into a fight, and that's all because of his image. He wanted to project this kind of macho image at the time, and he also changed two other movies that he was involved in: The Vikings from 1958 and The War Wagon from 1967 in the kind of in the same kind of direction. So how did I feel about it? So I thought that I would mention, because this is an ongoing project, and of course I've watched more movies than I actually have episodes so far from Disney, that I would give you sort of my rankings on it, and you can find my rankings in the IMDb. But so of the movies that I've reviewed from Disney, it's number 21 out of 77, so pretty good. 79, sorry, 79, 78, sorry. 21 out of 78, and my ranking is 8 stars. So pretty good. And I'll give you my review in a moment, but I didn't mention in the review something that I think makes the movie quite good, is that it doesn't feel like a Disney film. Like, it feels like a great adventure film from the 1950s. There's no sort of Disney kind of branding in it, which is like movies of that time, like, and around that time, certainly have a sort of Disney feel to it. And I'm not sure when we'll talk about it, but recently I watched The Swiss Family Robinson, and it completely Disneyfied. So we can talk about that more when we get to that particular film. But yeah, this film doesn't have the feeling of a Disney film. So here's my review. A lot of people rightly give credit to the Disney company for the groundbreaking work in the field of animation, but often their live action movies are not given the respect that they deserve. This, along with Treasure Island, are two surprisingly influential films. Treasure Island is influential because it gave us our pop culture idea of what a pirate should sound like, and this film is now the standard adaptation of a Jules Verne novel. Even what the Nautilus actually looks like in our imagination is the Nautilus of the film, not of the book. The acting is quite good in the film, especially that of Captain Nemo. Kirk Douglas also makes some interesting acting choices, which is well worth the watch. I would definitely recommend this to anyone who has an interest in the novel, or Disney live action films, or to people who just like films. So like I said, I gave it an 8 out of 10, so I kind of like it. I would watch it again, definitely. But I'm not the only one who has opinions about this film. So again, from the Internet Movie Database, this is a 1 out of, so I'll give you a 1 out of 10 review and a 10 out of 10 review. So the 1 out of 10 review goes something like, Flabby, and this is from Joachim O'Keefe 31 or something, or maybe Joachim O'Keefe 31, sorry, March 2010. 1 out of 10. Flabby, tedious, anodyne, a typical Disney adaptation. Only 3 years before, Kirk Douglas had starred in Ace in the Hole, a great noir movie, but Billy Wilder's first commercial flop. I can't help wondering if it was Kirk Douglas's sustained over-the-top performance, which is in full evidence in both movies, that made Ace in the Hole the runt of Wilder's litter. In 2K Lutz, I think 2000 Leagues Under the Sea. Oh, why put that as an acronym? That's so dumb. I spent like 5 minutes trying to figure out what that was before. Um, Douglas again gives it full beam, both barrels and the full 9 yards all the way through, which is a credit to his particular skill, and it is the only thing to lift the dreary script of this leaden, stagey melodrama. James Manson, on the other hand, isn't sure whether he's Phileas Fogg or Robert Newton. It has a lot of pseudo-oceanological exposition to deliver. You can see him flagging halfway through. Peter Lorre, bless him, struggles to keep up. Okay, that's one particular brand of review, and I have a positive review, which generally I don't like the tone of this kind of review, but I really like the enthusiasm. So this is 10 out of 10 by the Light Triton 19, May 2009. When Walt Disney was worth paying your hard-earned money to. Before the year 2000, most Disney films were great. They had little flaws and retold tales that our grandparents gossiped about. Disney films date back to 1928 with Mickey Mouse. Although all the animated films were great, Walt Disney was taking a huge step with this movie, and it was well worth the step. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea could never be made today like it was in 1954. Why? Because Disney would disapprove of it. Disney today is all about teenage boys pretending to be strong and stalwart. They're not about having big muscled guys rip their shirts off, beat up other seamen, dare I say that, and talk and sing about women hungry for affection. Yes, Kirk Douglas was superb in this movie. Disney today cares about preteens in Hannah Montana, and they claim it's epic that she lives a double life. I claim that a man who escaped a slave camp to get revenge on the world, who has a submarine with an energy power that humanity will never achieve, is truly epic. And again, James Mason is also superb. And finally, Disney cares about dance routines and pre-tween relationships, but they don't talk about the unplanned pregnancy that usually follows. They don't care about epic fights against giant squids. That could be put in the professor's words. Sure, a monster could sink a ship if it were big enough. And yes, that monster is big enough. I don't even need to tell you the backstory. Just telling you a little bits and pieces should be enough to describe how epic 20,000 Leagues really is. Yeah, so I love that review. I don't really like the whole, well, Disney was better back then. Disney is just different. Disney is like a company that takes some chances, and sometimes the chances are really great artistically but flop commercially, and sometimes the chances are really great commercially but flop artistically, and sometimes they manage to do both. And I think in this particular case, the movie is successful as a movie and commercially also successful. It's interesting to have, this is I think before the MCU, or maybe it was just when the MCU was starting, because I think Iron Man came out in 2007, so this is a few years after that. So I think people probably might be tired of all of the epic monster battles and stuff, and maybe they want to go back to the days of when Disney was just about pre-tweens. But I thought that was interesting where was it? Um, Pre-tween relationships. Like, why do you think all pre-tween relationships end up in unplanned pregnancies? Like, you can have a relationship without that part. All right, entertaining review though, definitely. So, the next episode I will be doing, I have to wait for my internet to load. Oh, is another unusual film to talk about. Davy Crockett, The King of the Wild Frontier. And then after that, we have The Lady and the Tramp. So if you came back to the podcast after a bunch of very obscure movies, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Please like and subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, tell your friends, and yeah, have a great day. We'll talk to you next week. Bye bye.